Hi, I'm Gabriel and I'm 15. I've been training for maybe more than 3 years now, and I've been very active on the weightlifting side of the internet. Basically, I've been gathering knowledge. So basically, I see a lot of people my age who want to start training, guys and girls, but there are so many routines and exercises and all that stuff, so it can get really confusing. If this is you, don't worry, I got you. So this is the first video of a three-part series, and in this one we'll be checking out your first 3 weeks, and I'll be setting you up with a beginner routine that won't take too much of your time and will allow you to get progressively used to the stress exercise puts on your body. It'll also allow you to learn the basics of weight training. So we'll start with the routine. This is basically how you organize your workouts and when in the week you'll work out. There are mainly 3 routines that are viewed as optimal. The first one is the full body routine, which is basically the days you train all of your muscles at once. With this routine, you can train maybe 3 or more days a week. The second one is the push-pull legs routine. So basically, you separate all of your muscles in 3 categories: the muscles that push, the muscles that pull, and your leg muscles. With this one, you have to train maybe 2 times per week every muscle group. So you end up with 6 days a week of training. And the third and final one is the upper-lower routine. So like the push-pull legs one, you separate all of your muscles in 2 categories: your upper muscles and your lower muscles, which are your legs. With this one, you can train 4 or more times a week. So eventually you can check out all those routines and see which ones you like the most. But we're gonna start out with the full body routine. That's because you'll only have to train 3 days a week, and it'll give you more time to recover. Because since you're starting out, your body isn't used to all that strain and stress with your muscles. Also, since we'll be training every muscle 3 times a week, this means that we'll need to do less exercises to get the required stimulus to make your muscles grow and become stronger, basically. So this means that we'll have more time to master the basic exercises and maybe add the other ones later. So let's plan your routine. First of all, we need to know when we'll train. So let's pick 3 days where we'll train. So for example, I go with Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. This gives us 1 day in between every time we train, and this is essential. That's because, when we, in those rest days, that's when we recover and grow our muscles. And if you don't do that and just train back to back, your muscles won't have the time to recover. If you have to arrange your training days differently, just make sure you have 1 day in between all the days you train. Now, let's look at the workout themselves. So since we're only doing basic exercises, we can just have all the workouts be the same. Usually you're supposed to start out all your workouts with a compound movement. This is a movement that uses multiple muscles at once. But since all of the basic movements we'll do are compound ones, we can place them in whatever order we want. So you're gonna see I've placed them in an order, but if you don't want to, you can just place them differently. You can displace them at will. So since we're going to do exercise with only dumbbells, I think you should probably get those types of dumbbells. You see this red thing there? That's because you can remove the weights, and this is really good because if you need to add more weight to your exercise, you can easily do it. So if you have those, that's great. Perfect. So here are the exercises in order. First off, we're going to start with a 5-minute warm-up. Then we're going to do squats, then deadlifts, then dumbbell presses or push-ups, and finally we're going to do pull-ups or rows. We're not doing abs yet, but if you really want, I'm gonna put like one of my favorite ab exercises at the end. So for each exercise, you're gonna do 3 sets, and for each sets, you're gonna do 8 to 12 repetitions of the exercise in question. And in between each set, you're gonna take a 1 to 4 minute break. Now, don't worry, I'm gonna dissect all of this with you. So, first off, I mentioned a 5-minute warm up. It might seem out of place at first, but it's really important because it gets your blood flowing and your body ready for what's coming next. It's kind of a precursor, let's say. It prepares you. Now, usually I do my warm up on my punching bag, but as you can see, I kind of broke it not long ago. So if you have anything like that or a jump rope, that's a good way to do like your 5-minute warm up. So first exercise is the squat. It is one of, if not the most important for your legs. It mainly targets, I'd say, like quads and glutes, but it also targets your hamstrings, calves, and core, which your core keeps you stable. So it's a great exercise. So the variation of the squat we're gonna do is called the goblet squat. It's a squat you can do with only one dumbbell, since it's in front of your body, so it's more straining on your quads. Now let's talk proper form. To do this exercise right, you need to keep your hips back and maintain a slight arc in your back, but it has to be mostly straight for most of the movement. Keep your chest high and bend your knees to lower the weight. Go down as far as you can, but when your back starts bending, it's too low. The optimal position is probably with your legs nearly parallel to the floor and your elbows touching your knees. Then you squeeze your glutes to bring the weights back up. So next up we have the deadlift. The deadlift is an exercise that allows you to work a lot of muscles at once, mainly your legs and your back. It's an exercise that you can vary pretty much the amount of which muscle is strained more than the others, but depending on its forms. But for now I'm only gonna shoot one of them. To properly do a basic dumbbell deadlift, you need to start out with your knees slightly bent and your feet hip or shoulder width apart. Then you lift up the weights while keeping your arms and back straight. Tighten your core throughout the movement and drive through your heels to stand up straight. Then at the top of the movement, squeeze your glutes, then lower gently the weight down till you end up in the starting position. This targets more of your lower back, quads, hamstrings, lats, glutes, and a bit of your core. Okay, now we'll leave the legs alone and do dumbbell presses. When you do a dumbbell press, you need to keep your shoulders back, keep your back straight, and when you lower the weight, try touching your shoulders before pushing them back up. Now, if you don't have a bench, you can do them on the floor, but it isn't very optimal because the most important part is when the dumbbell is touching your shoulder and your pec is fully stretched. So if you don't have a bench or a place where you can just find a way to touch your shoulders with your dumbbells, there is an alternative. Push-ups. Now, push-ups aren't the most efficient exercises, but there are some modifications you can do to make them more efficient. The first one is to do a weighted push-up. That's for people who can do more than 8 to 12 reps of push-ups. So I personally, if I do a weighted push-up, I do it I put weights in an old backpack of mine that I then put on. I think it's better than most people just put the weights on their back because I don't have to worry about the weights falling off. I can just concentrate on the movement and do it well. The second modification you can do is just putting your feet on a high surface. This allows you to shift more of the weight of your body towards the area you're targeting, so it can make the addition of weights even more efficient. It can be used as a replacement to weights, but if you're on a stage where you need to add weights, it will probably not be enough. But also keep in mind that we're trying to do push-ups here, not shoulder presses. The third one is just putting something between your hands and the floor. This allows you to get a way deeper stretch, which is great. Then there's all the push-up variations and things like that, but I want to keep this relatively simple. So I'll probably put out a video on this if you're interested, but in the meantime, if you really want to look at that, you can do your own research, but it's not really important for now. Okay, now we move on to the back. We can either do pull-ups or rows, but if you have a pull-up bar, I definitely recommend that over the rows, because as I said, pull-ups are way better for offering you a deep stretch, and they're more of a natural movement, to be honest. Now, if you can't do a basic pull-up, try doing negative pull-ups. They'll build you basic back strength, and eventually you'll be able to move on to just regular pull-ups. Now, if regular pull-ups are too easy, you can try adding weights. But remember, the goal isn't to move big weights like a dumbass and get hurt. If you add weights, make sure you have good form and good control over your movement. Now, if you don't have a pull-up bar, you can either buy one pretty cheap on Amazon like I did, or you can do rows. They're like an easier version of the pull-ups, but in my opinion, they're way less efficient. Now, the way I like to do rows is one arm at a time and on an elevated surface. This allows me to concentrate better on the movement and get a better stretch. Now, when you do this movement, try to get your elbows to the bottom of your back. You're not trying to sling out the weight. Now, for those who absolutely wanted an ab exercise, here it is. That's my favorite ab exercise. It absolutely burns the shit out of your abs, and it's called the bicycle crunch. So, you try to touch your opposite knees with your elbows while keeping your legs off the ground. It targets three areas. Once, your lower abs, who are trying to keep your legs up, your upper abs, who are trying to do the crunching motion, and your obliques, who are doing the twisting motion. Now, the obliques are a great muscle train because they define the area around your abs and in turn make your abs more defined. Okay, let's talk progression. So if you want to keep building muscle and strength over time, you're going to need to up the challenge. And for that, let's say you're going to add 1 to 2 reps every week. And when you eventually get to 12 reps, you're going to add weight and go back down to 8 reps. Okay, here's an example. The first week, you do 8 reps. Then the second week, you do 10 reps. And the third week, you do 12. Now, the fourth week, you do 8 reps, but you add 5 pounds. That's the least weight I can personally add myself. So, let's do a recap. For your first 3 weeks, here's your workout plan. We only train 3 times a week, with 1 day in between. When we train, we only do compound movements. Squats, deadlifts, dumbbell presses / pull-ups, sorry, I meant push-ups. Pull-ups / rows. And for the willing, bicycle crunches. We only do every exercise 3 times. We do 8 to 12 repetitions of each, and in between we take a 1 to 4 minute break. Every week we add 1 to 2 reps. When eventually we can do 12, we add weight and go back down to 8 reps. Now we focus more on the form of the movement rather than the weight, and we start off with a low level of effort for now. We're not trying to push ourselves too far for now. If you like keeping your routines on your phone, I do it on an app called Rep Count. My interface is in French because I'm a French Canadian, but Rep Count, that's what it's called. There are some features you have to pay, but I personally only use the free version. It's a great app for starting out. I use it. I'm not sponsored. I have like 5 viewers. Okay, so if you're wondering why I don't cover exercises for the biceps or the shoulders, for example, that's because they're already used in the compound movements we're going to do. But in the next video, the part 2, I will make a newer routine and I will cover them, don't worry. So, thank you for watching this far. We've reached the end of the video. If part 2 isn't out yet, for the people who subscribe, you'll get notified when I post a new video. If you liked the video, please like it. It lets me know you actually liked it. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments. That's where I respond. Sorry this video took so long to make. It's because I went back to school and I had to catch up. Yes, for those who saw my last video, I did get better. It's really nice. I mean, I even turned 16 last week. Either way, thanks for watching this far, and I'll see you next video, I guess.